Hey, I'm Jacob Beach with the Prepper's Bunker Outdoors. Today I want to talk to you about the LaRocca Bushcrafter. This is a knife that I've been excited about for a good while, and now I finally get the opportunity to share it with you. Stick around and check it out. The knife is made of 01 tool steel. You see it has a high saber grind, micarta scales, nice red liners, bow drill divot. The blade is about 3.5 inches long, the handle 4. It comes with a Kydex sheath. Now let me tell you, this sheath is very impressive. Nice click, no rattle whatsoever, very secure, and it clicks out very nice as well. So very well executed on that. I think one of the things that's special about LaRocca, for one, his price point. He sells on Etsy.com, and I'll have a link to that in the description below. But he offers very utilitarian knives in cool steels, including some really cool stainless steels. He does 154 cm, and he does AEB-L, and cool stuff. And his prices are phenomenal in comparison, especially when you take into account this sheath quality. So, very, very cool. Alright, so what I'm going to do today is I'm going to make a tri-stick out of this guy right here. A tri-stick, I think, is the perfect way to test a Bushcrafter. There is a difference between a bushcraft knife and a survival knife. I'll get to that in a future video. But a bushcraft knife is defined really by its main task, which is bushcrafting. You are crafting things that you need, tools that you need to make while in the bush. Now obviously that's a vague definition, and that's why there's so many subcategories of bushcrafting, of bushcrafters, of bushcraft styles. But it all boils down to making what you need in the bush while you're in the bush. And a tri-stick is a stick that has multiple different notches and things that you would need when making tools. So I think it's the perfect meter for which any bushcraft knife can be tested. A vital skill to understand when bushcrafting is the simple spear tip. And you don't need to only know how to make it and properly dry it over a fire. You also need to know what type of spear you need to make for what type of job. For instance, if I want to make a marshmallow stick when making s'mores, I'm going to want to make a very, very thin, very sharp spear point. That same point would be almost useless for throwing or getting any kind of game or anything. The point would just be too weak, and you'd need something a little more obtuse. The number of things that you can do with a tri-stick is almost endless. If you want to see some really good examples of different things that you can do on a tri-stick, look up Morse Kachansky, or just look up tri-sticks on Google. There's so many different things for you to practice, and every notch is useful for something unique. I won't be doing anything crazy today, like making a whistle or any of the other kind of stuff that some people do with reeds when they get really into it. This will be a fairly basic tri-stick. One thing that I really like about this little Bushcrafter is that high saber grind is very, very tough, but it holds such a nice edge. LaRocca really knows, I think, what he's doing with that edge geometry. It's really a pleasure to work with, and I don't have to feel uncomfortable with doing any tasks with it. It's thick enough to handle the abuse, but still thin enough to be an enjoyment to use. And that's really a balancing act that a lot of people, especially companies more recently, are kind of screwing up, to be honest. Whether they're making knives too thick and tankish to be enjoyable to use, to make them bulletproof, or whether they're making them too thin, almost like a kitchen knife, to slice really nice. There's definitely a balance point in between. Obviously I made this lashing point too thin, but I really just started having so much fun, and this little knife was making things so easy. I mean, the wood was just peeling off. I was having a great time, and at a certain point I just decided that I was going to see how thin I dared go. And that is the answer right there. I think if I go any thinner, I'm just going to break it. Might break anyways, but it's a good time. One test that I do like to do on any given knife is I like to break some of the knife rules here, and I like to apply some shock and sideways pressure to the blade to pop out a chip. So my favorite tool while bushcrafting is definitely a baton. Usually I'll take the time to make a nicer one than this. I'll actually take the time to make a mallet. But what I'm going to do is I want two very deep parallel splits in this wood. So there's my first, and this will be my second. What I'm going to do is I'm going to baton a split right in between these two, and then I'm going to force the knife sideways to pop it out. Now I usually do this on much harder wood with a much larger stick, but I don't find it to be necessary with this little Bushcrafter, because I feel like we are well within the bounds of what this knife was intended to do. But you can see that the wood's already wanting to pop, so I won't even have to do my middle, probably won't even have to do my middle chunk there. Yep, there it comes. And for me, obviously I would clean this one up, or I will clean this one up, but this is a very quick and efficient way to get a notch. I would rather do this than have a dang saw on the back of the blade, that's for sure. Here's the hole that I drilled. I also did some 90-degree edges here, squared it up a little bit. It's very useful for a lot of traps and different things when you're bushcrafting. I know that I said that I was going to try and make this pretty, and well, for one thing, this hole is anything but pretty. But the whole tri-stick ended up being pretty ugly, which is pretty typical of what I do. Pretty utilitarian stuff, which is fancy words for but ugly. Alright guys, so here's my tri-stick. Simple spear, notch, tie down point, square notch, 90-degree edges, a hole, dovetail. Simple stuff. Like I said, it's all ugly. I do want to take a moment to look over this knife again. Really check this thing out, guys. See if I can get the light to look good on there. It's a very nice high grind. I like the angle that he ground it at. The handle has some contouring. It's not super contoured. It's not like a Becker scale or something of that nature, but it is contoured. It is comfortable. Bow drill divot. Nice liners. It's going to be hard for me to show on my camera. That is a very, very beefy tip. Very tough. It's a very nice utilitarian knife. There is just no doubt about it. Well, I'm going to have to wrap this up, guys. I really hope you enjoyed seeing this knife. Make sure to go check LaRocca out on Etsy. I kind of have a soft spot for Etsy. A lot of my business started there as well. And it's really hard getting your product out and getting people to check it out. And Etsy's not always the easiest platform to work with as a creator, but it's a great platform for someone looking for handmade goods. Actually, I got my wedding ring made on Etsy, got my gun belt made on Etsy, all kinds of stuff. It's really a great place if you like buying handmade stuff. LaRocca does great work. I believe he has a Facebook page as well. I'm going to put links to everything down in the description. I really enjoyed using this knife. My tri-stick was ugly, and there's a lot more notches to do. If you're looking to improve your knife skills and your hand skills, tri-stick's a great way to go. Anyways, please subscribe. Loved having you. Let me know what you think in the comments, and have a great day.